Welcome to Educon. This is Imam with you. In earlier section, we finished the five kingdom classification, simple representation. After that, we come to kingdom Monera and also Protista. Now, in this section, we will learn about kingdom fungi. The fungi constitute a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. They show a great diversity in morphology and habitat. You must have seen fungi on moist bread and rotten food because most of us might have observed in any rotten foods or vegetables in our homes. Normally, there will be formation of fungi if you keep that fruit or any bread or any vegetable outside for a long time. The common mushroom you eat and toadstools are also fungi. While spots seen on mustard leaves are due to parasitic fungi. So here, common mushroom you eat, the mushroom we used to consume, and also toadstools are also a type of fungi. While spots which are seen on mustard leaves are due to parasitic fungus. Parasitic means it depends on other plants for its survival. Some unicellular fungi, examples like yeast, are used to make bread and beer. So the unicellular fungi, which is yeast, is used in making bread and beer. Other fungi cause diseases in plants and also animals. Wheat rust causing Puccinia is an important example. Some are the source of antibiotics like penicillin. Penicillin is also a fungus which is the main source of the antibiotic. Fungi are cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means they are different and it may occur in a different habitat. So fungi are cosmopolitan and occur in air, water, soil, on animals and also plants. They prefer to grow in warm and humid places. Have you ever wondered why we keep food in refrigerator? Yes, it is to prevent food from going bad due to bacterial or fungal infection. Because if you don't keep, you can just try for yourself any bread or any kind of food. If you place it outside, the same food which if you keep inside a fridge or refrigerator, those spoiling will be instantly in the food which you kept outside. Whereas when it is preserved at certain temperature, the food is properly stored and it doesn't have any kind of deformation. With the exception of yeast, which are unicellular, fungi are filamentous. Only yeast are the unicellular in fungi, and most fungi are filamentous. Remember this. Their bodies consist of long, slender, thread-like structures called hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. So network of hyphae is called mycelium. These three lines you need to remember. They are the very important lines. Some hyphae are continuous tube filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. So hyphae, they are like tubes filled with multinucleated cytoplasm, means more than one nucleus. And these are called cenocytic hyphae. If the hyphae consist of multinucleated cytoplasm, then these are called as cenotypic hyphae. Others have a septae or cross walls in their hyphae, means there is a cross, means hindrance. There will be like walls. Others have septae or cross walls in their hyphae. The cell walls of fungi are composed of chitin and polysaccharide. This is also an important line. So in the cell walls of fungi consist of chitin or cellulose, like you will be having multiple options. So this is a simple line and it gives it is also a important line to remember for need purpose. Most fungi are heterotrophic and absorb soluble organic matter from dead substrates and hence are called saprophytes. A saprophytic, what is that? Sapro means the organism which secretes certain enzyme, and that enzyme that is outside, secret outside, that enzyme decomposes the organic matter or substrate then into simpler forms so that the organism can absorb. Those that depend on living plants and animals are called parasites. See, parasites means those fungi that depend on living plants, living plants and animals are called parasites. They can also live as symbionts, means in association with algae as lichens and with roots of higher plant as mycorrhiza. So here sometimes it lives as a parasite, in some it lives as a symbiont. Symbiont means where the fungi and other organism on which the fungi is growing or depending, then the host, for example. So they can live with them continuously without causing any kind of harm to the plant or organism or anything. So that is called symbiosis, and the organism is called symbiont. In association with algae, it is called as lichens, and with roots of higher plants as mycorrhiza. Reproduction in fungi can take place by vegetative means, that is fragmentation, fission and budding. The reproduction in fungi by vegetative means of reproduction in fungi is by fragmentation, fission and budding. So these three options are very important. Okay, what is the vegetative means of production in fungi? They will say this example of the Pusinia, some example of fungi. They will take such example, name of that, and they will add the name to this sentence, making a question. So what is the vegetative means of reproduction in Pusinia or in yeast, like that it is. So in that, vegetative means of reproduction in fungi is by fragmentation, fission and budding. Sexual reproduction is by spores called conidia. So vegetative by, we have vegetative mode of reproduction by fragmentation, fission and budding, whereas asexual reproduction is by formation of spores called conidia or sporangiospores or zoospores. So three names are common. And sexual, vegetative and also asexual, vegetative, asexual and sexual. Sexual reproduction is by oospores, ascospores and basidiospores. So these three names for different, say for the same, formation of spores like oospores or ascospores or basidiospores. There is a common name for that method of reproduction, sexual reproduction. The various spores are produced in distinctive structure called fruiting bodies. Okay, these spores are formed in distinct structures called fruiting bodies. The sexual cycle involves the following three steps. What are those three steps? Fusion of protoplasm between two motile and non-motile gametes called plasmogamy. So here a single line question: what is plasmogamy? Okay, that is fusion of protoplasms between two motile and non-motile gametes. The gametes will be motile or even non-motile, is called plasmogamy. Fusion of two nuclei called karyogamy. Meiosis in zygote resulting in haploid spores. So these three steps involved in the sexual cycle: fusion of protoplasm, fusion of two nuclei, that is karyogamy, and meiosis in zygote resulting in haploid spores. When a fungus reproduces sexually, two haploid hyphae of compatible mating types come together and fuse. Okay? When a fungus reproduces sexually, two haploid hyphae of compatible mating types come together and fuse. In some fungi, the fusion of the two haploid cells immediately result in diploid cell, that is 2N. Okay? In normally how the fungus reproduce sexually, two haploid hyphae of compatible mating types come together and fuse. In some fungi, certain fungus, the fusion of two haploid cells immediately results in diploid cells. However, in other fungi like Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes,
An intervening dikaryotic stage, that is N plus N, that is 2 nuclei per cell occurs. Intervening in where it occurs? In some fungi, that is Asomycetes and Basidiomycetes. An intervening dikaryotic stage where 2 nuclei are present in a single cell. Such a condition is called dikaryon, and the phase is dikaryophase. Here we have very important lines in these sections. Since we start learning about fungi, we have a lot of important lines. So, and what I will do is I will try to extract questions and I will post on my website, so you can you can practice there itself. So if the cell contains more than 2 nuclei, that is more than 1 nuclei, that condition is called dikaryon, and the phase is called dikaryophase. Later, the parental nuclei fuse and the cells become diploid. Okay? Later, the parental nuclei fuse and the cells become diploid. The fungi form fruiting bodies in which reduction division occurs, leading to formation of haploid spores. So where the reduction division occurs? In fruiting bodies, okay, which results in the formation of haploid spores. The morphology of mycelium, mode of spore formation, and fruiting bodies form the basis for the division of the kingdom into various classes. How the fungus are classified? Based on the morphology of mycelium, number 1. Number 2, mode of spore formation, okay, number 2. And number 3, fruiting bodies. These form the basis how the fungi is classified into various classes. Among it, the first class is members of Phycomycetes are found in aquatic habitats and on decaying wood in moist and damp places, or as obligate parasites on plants also. Members of Phycomycetes are found in aquatic habitats and on decaying wood in moist. Decaying wood means moist means rainy season, and you have moist place where the climate is moist, and damp places, are as obligate parasites on plants. These are the conditions where these members of fungus occurs. They occurs in different aquatic means habitats. The mycelium is aseptate and cenocytic. Mycelium is aseptate and cenocytic in Phycomycetes. Remember this. This line is also very important. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores, that is motile, or by aplanospores, non-motile. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores, which are motile, or by aplanospores, which are non-motile. These spores are endogenously produced in sporangium. Endogenous means internally. A zygospore is formed by fusion of 2 gametes. These gametes are similar in morphology. Similar in morphology means isogamous, or dissimilar means anisogamous or oogamous. Some common examples for Phycomycetes are mucor. This is mucor. This is in the 2.5a that we will see the image. Here it is. So the image is not so clear. Then you can have the how exactly it appears. Some common examples are mucor in Phycomycetes. Rhizopus, the bread means Rhizopus means the bread mold mentioned earlier. Yes, and albugo, the parasitic fungi on mustard. So we have 3 examples in Phycomycetes, that is mucor, Rhizopus, and albugo. Okay, and you see here questions. These 3 examples are very important. Like asexual reproduction in albugo, so occurs by aplanospores, zygospores, zoospores, like that it will come. So we need to be sure or about the complete topic, that is Phycomycetes, and also what exactly are the examples given here. On that basis, we need to correlate the material with the examples. So how we need to compare the examples with the study material provided in the book. So here we have 3 examples. So 3 examples we need to link with the study material in the NCERT book. Coming to next group, Asomycetes, commonly known as sac fungi. The Asomycetes are mostly multicellular. Example, penicillium. Or rarely unicellular, that is yeast, that is Saccharomyces. So we have 2 examples in Asomycetes. They are saprophytic, decomposers, parasitic, or coprophilous. Growth on dung. Dung means, dung, cow dung, the excreta of animals. So they are saprophytic, decomposers, parasitic, or coprophilous, going on dung. Mycelium is branched and septate. We have studied about this in the introduction. Mycelium is branched and septate. The asexual spores or conidia produced exogenously on the special mycelium called conidiospores. Conidia on germination produce mycelium. Sexual spores are called ascospores, which are produced endogenously in sac-like asci. That is, if it is means asci means it is plural. If it is singular, it is ascus. These asci are arranged in different types of fruiting bodies called ascocarps. Where some examples are Aspergillus, Claviceps, and Neurospora. Neurospora is used extensively in biochemical and genetic work. So here we have 3 to 4 examples. So we have to, these examples we need to consider when we are reading about Asomycetes. Okay, so these are examples. Sometimes the name will be there directly. So most of us, we don't remember this fungus, the name, the examples of the names of the fungus. So we miss those questions. So we need to remember the examples when you can remember, because you make more revision out of them. You are reading again and again, then only you can remember. So here Neurospora is used extensively in biochemical and genetic work. Many members like morels, truffles are edible and are considered delicacy. Certain fungus, they are considered to be edible and considered delicacies in certain areas. Coming to Basidiomycetes. Commonly known forms of Basidiomycetes are mushrooms. Okay, commonly known forms of Basidiomycetes are mushrooms, bracket fungi, or puffballs. These 3 are the common forms of which are included in Basidiomycetes. They grow in soil, on logs like wooden logs, and tree stumps, and in living plant bodies as parasites. Example, rust and smuts. The mycelium is branched and septate. The sexual spores are generally not found. The asexual spores are generally not found, but vegetative reproduction by fragmentation is very common in Basidiomycetes. The sex organ are absent, but plasmogamy is brought about by fusion of 2 vegetative or somatic cells of different strains of genotype. So here, see, there are no any sex organs in Basidiomycetes, and the asexual spores are generally not found, but vegetative reproduction by fragmentation is very common in Basidiomycetes. The resultant structure is dikaryotic, which ultimately gives rise to basidium. Karyogamy and meiosis takes place in basidium, producing 4 basidiospores. And the basidiospores are exogenously produced on the basidium. Plural is basidia. If it is 1, then it is basidium. If it is more than 1, then basidia. The basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies called basidiocarps. Basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies called basidiocarp. Some common members of Basidiomycetes are agaricus, that is mushroom, which we consume, Pustilago, that is smut, and Puccinia, rust fungus. So
So this is the short description of basidiomycetes. Coming to deuteromycetes, commonly known as imperfect fungi, because only the asexual or vegetative phases of these fungi are known. Known means discovered. Till now we have known about these two reproduction process in deuteromycetes, commonly known as imperfect fungi. Okay, imperfect fungi means they belong to deuteromycetes, and only asexual or vegetative phases of these fungi are known. When the sexual forms of these fungi were discovered, they were moved into classes they rightly belong. It is also possible that the asexual and vegetative stage have been given one name. It is possible asexual and vegetative stage have been given one name and the sexual stage another. Okay, it may be possible because it is an imperfect fungi and we only know the asexual and vegetative phases of these fungi. Okay, so here what is written, it is also possible that the asexual and vegetative stage have been given one name, that is, and placed under deuteromycetes, and sexual stage another and placed under another class. Later, when the linkages were established, the fungi were correctly identified and moved out of deuteromycetes. Once perfect sexual stages of members of deuteromycetes were discovered, they were often moved to asomycetes and basidiomycetes. The deuteromycetes reproduce only by asexual spores known as conidia. This is very important line. The deuteromycetes reproduce only by asexual spores known as conidia. The mycelium is septate and branch. Some members are saprophytes or parasites, while a large number of them are decomposers of litter and help in mineral cycling. And examples are Alternaria, Coletotrichum, and Trichoderma. So all these three are the examples for deuteromycetes.